All right, folks, what's up? How's everybody doing? Welcome to the first ever show called The Break Hour. This is where we spend 1 hour just talking about off topic things, just taking a break from the great debate, talking about things we like. So, our favorite hobbies, movies, TV shows, music, just things not associated with the great debate to kind of just, take a step back and let's try to enjoy one another in fellowship, rather than engaging in the things which come with the great debate, such as controversy, drama, and things like this. We often don't get a chance to just talk to one another, just talk about things that we like, talk about things that we enjoy. So, my goal for the show is just to have at least one moment that we can just say, look here, we may not agree on things in the great debate, and we may get even very passionate about it. And sometimes it can get to levels to where it's even, at the very least, very unsettling. But at the end of the day, we're all still human beings. At the end of the day, we can still talk about things we like. We can still have conversations about things other than the great debate. So yeah, this is what this show is about. It's the break hour. Um, it is September 7th, 2016, and this is the first ever show of the break hour. So I've officially started this around 3:35 ish in the Midwest where I'm at now. So it'll end at about 4:35 ish or so Central Standard Time, United States time. Depending on where you are in the United States or in the world, just you know, check your time zones accordingly. But yeah, I'm just gonna talk about things that I like. I want to talk about the Arrow, the Green Arrow. That's a show that I really, really love. I mean, I just love the development from Justin Oliver Queen's character. I just love how far he's come, and just the villains in that show are just amazing. You're talking about Damien Dark of the most recent season, and then you have villains like Slade Wilson. Then you have villains like Ra's al Ghul. Just the show is just amazing, and I'm really, really looking forward to next season. Um, and then you also have shows right along with it, like The Flash. I mean, man, you just can't really say enough about what they're doing with those shows and how they set them in the same universe and how they write them so well and intertwine. The writers behind those shows just do a fantastic job of putting everything together. And I just can't wait till this season. It's just setting the stage for just more amazing things to come. And I don't even watch TV like that because I think the overwhelming majority of stuff on TV is garbage. But shows like The Flash and shows like Green Arrow, they're just amazing shows. I just love them. And there's also other shows that I like. What was the show I was thinking of? It's a show I watch on the Food Network all the time. Oh, Chopped. There you go. I love that show. Um, they just have so many people from so many different backgrounds who just bring so many unique elements to their cooking, and then they just battle it out to, I believe it's like 3 rounds altogether, if I remember correctly. And they start off with like yeah, I think it's like it's about 3 or 4 rounds. But basically, they have a number of different people who battle each other. They have dishes that are selected well, not really dishes, but what they do is they look at certain um, times of the day where people have like brunch and then dinner and then dessert. And then what they do is they say like, here's the brunch section, and then they'll have all these hidden ingredients that they have to use in their dish, and they have to come up with something that matches the dish that they said. Well, not what really matches the dish, but they have to use the ingredients for whatever set to match whatever part of the segment they're in. Like if they're in the brunch segment, they have to use a randomly selected bit of ingredients for them. Like every chef on the show uses the same ingredients, but the ingredients that they use, they don't know what they're gonna use. They could use stuff like they can use stuff like vinegar. They can use stuff like types a type of puree. It's a number of different things that they could use, and they have to implement all those ingredients in whatever dish that they are making. And whoever has the best dish moves on to the next round, and who has the worst dish gets put on what they call the chopping block. And then whoever has the worst dish gets sent home. And then they go to the next round to where they'll do something like the dinner round or the dessert round, and then they'll just do the same thing over and over again until they get to the last round. The last round is always dessert, and um, it's just been so many different people from all sorts of shows, just bringing so many unique elements to it. And when it really, really gets down to it, it just shows how much you can endure, random ingredients and random things that they put your way just to see just how much you can expand your creative cooking element. It's just an amazing show. And they even have a kids version, Chopped Junior. The show, yeah, I just love the show. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put the link out in the chat. If you want to come in and talk about just your favorite music or favorite TV shows, movies, just things, hobbies you like, just things that are just associated with just things you like in your life. I mean, if you like to build computers, if you like to put together, if you like to fix cars, if you like certain types of sports, just talk whatever you want to talk about. And that's yeah, that's the break hour. And yeah, this is just something I want to do here just to get away from all the stuff and all the conflict and whatnot associated with the great debate. And yeah, and it should be an opportunity for us just to talk to each other because we don't do enough of that. We don't. I think each one of us, just wants to obviously just has the best arguments for our case, and it gets to the point to where we are very, very consumed in that we don't even talk to each other as human beings. I mean, we all do it. Let's not act like none of us do, because we are all biased in our positions, but we can take a moment in shows like this to set that all aside and just talk about things which we enjoy. Like I like my favorite baseball team, especially growing up here in the Midwest, the St. Louis Cardinals. I love them. They're kind of having sort of an off year, but at the same time, they're not doing too bad. They're still in the wild card race, which I'm looking forward to seeing how they do in at least making it into the wild card as the postseason approaches. I saw the game last night to where they were in the ninth inning, and it was a crazy game. They basically scored 5 runs and had a 5-0 lead, and then they ended up blowing the lead and ended up trailing. And then they was down in the ninth inning, and they were down to their last strike. And Matt Carpenter comes to the plate at their last strike and jacks a solo homer to tie the game. I just thought, man, that was an exciting game. Like they were literally down to their last strike, and they came back. And then another one of my favorite players on the team, Randall Grichuk, hit a 2-run shot in the ninth inning, which was just, oh man, I was just going nuts. And then another one of my favorite players on there, Johnny Peralta, just capped it off with a solo shot. It was just insane. But yeah, it's just things like this that I love. I'm looking forward to also my favorite football team, who were the St. Louis Rams for a little while, but then they went back to Los Angeles, and yeah, they're still my team. I don't care. I grew up watching them since I was a kid. They originally were from Los Angeles, but I grew up watching them in St. Louis, and when they made that decision to move back to Los Angeles, I was a bit disappointed, but at the same time, that's my team at the end of the day. It doesn't matter whether they in St. Louis or Los Angeles, that's going to be my team. So whatever you want to talk about, feel free to come in and just talk about things that are not associated with this great debate. Just talk about the stuff that you like. Um, all right. Let's see. Um, I'm really, really looking forward to. I know I already talked about the Arrow, but I just can't say enough about it. I just can't wait till this coming season, and the Flash as well. It's just I don't know where they get these writers from, but they just do such a fantastic job in writing everything. And I really like how they broke everything down, especially in the Arrow, from his evolution. That's just a just just some spoiled rich kid, not really understanding anything about life, just basically was in his own little world, to just being just forced in just the most stressful and difficult situation, and basically having his whole world turned upside down. Like he was just this wealthy rich kid who had everything in front of him, and just like that, everything was taken away from him in an instant, and he was forced to evolve himself in order to survive. And it just totally changed his entire outlook on life, and just totally changed who he was for keeps. Going from this rich kid who was basically arrogant and really didn't care about too much except a few people in his life and things that interest him, to wanting to save his city, to just caring about others, to putting himself aside. And he didn't even always do everything the right way. I mean, he just grew a whole lot of dark elements about himself, seeing as he witnessed just so many horrific things. And he had to do just, just the most drastic of things to survive. I mean, he even had to make the tough decision to even kill someone that was very, very close to him when he was stranded on an island, because she had got possessed by this dark magic, and I can't imagine how difficult it was for him to, take her life. And that just played into so much of the character that he brought home when he finally got off the island. And yeah, I just love the evolution of his character because I mean, how many people honestly who had the kind of life he had would even be able to evolve in such a situation? Just be able to say, look here, everything that I once lived for was just taken away from me in an instant. Now I have to, you know, I have a new set of cards that's dealt in front of me, and it's time to deal. And he just witnessed the most horrific things and went through the most horrific circumstances, and he ended up becoming a person who didn't care about not too much of anything to putting a whole city on his shoulders. So his evolution and his character was just nothing short of just awesome to watch. And then you have someone like Barry Allen of the Flash, basically more or less a complete opposite of Oliver Queen. He was pretty much a kind-hearted person his whole life, and he was just trying to find out what he could contribute to the world, and just trying to find out who he really was, and having his mother taken away from him when he was such a young age, right in front of his face, and just trying to find out, just where, you know, basically just trying to find out how to really settle that in his life, trying to find out, you know, how to in a bit of internet trouble there. But yeah, if you want to come in and just talk about these issues, feel free. I got the link in the chat. If you we ain't got to talk about what I want to talk about. We can talk about stuff you interested in. If you like a certain sports team or certain show or whatever. I think we spend way too much time, just getting in this mindless. Well, I'm not going to say it's mindless, but it can feel that way sometimes. It can definitely feel mindless, but um, At some point, we just got to say to ourselves, are we going to just talk to each other? Or are we just going to, and we might not be able to really talk to each other in the great debate. I pretty much come to terms that that's probably not going to be a very, very practical thing to say, okay, let's just find a way to talk to each other in the great debate. So at the very least, we can find a way to talk to each other with things that we do like that has nothing to do with the great debate. And this is just, me just trying to start something new in this community of ours. So let's see some of the comments in the chat. So Haley here, good to see you again, Haley. And Jake P says, you better not be talking past. Okay. Um, well, hopefully you didn't hear anything when I said about the Arrow Man, because um, if you if you didn't hear what I said already, then I would advise you not to listen to some of the stuff I said in this earlier hangout. Yeah, go check it out, man. You are missing out on a whole lot, man. Um, what else? Certain movies I like I'm gonna talk about just one of my favorite movies I watched growing up as a kid. Like I was I had went to church. It was about a month and a half ago. One of um one of the saints in at my church had asked me what was my favorite Disney movie. And I said my favorite Disney movie was The Lion King Point Blank. I mean, that is hands down my favorite Disney movie of all time. And I think many people will say that just because just the diverse music selection, the characters were so lovable in the movie, um, just the whole brotherhood element to Simba of Timon and Pumbaa, just so many great things in that movie, man. And you have people like Rafiki was just basically like sort of a grandfather or godfather type character to Simba, basically guiding him, to get back to the path to which he was destined to be on because he experienced the death of his father and just got thrown into a world to where he had to adapt. I mean, I think Simba's story is in certain ways similar to the Arrow, not in the sense that he had to do a bunch of dark stuff to survive and whatnot, but in the sense that he was just thrown into a world just pretty much abruptly out of nowhere and had his life turned upside down. So there are certain similarities definitely between Simba and Oliver Queen. But yeah, I just love the movie, man. And he just had to learn how to find his own way as a kid. Hakuna Matata, right? But as he grew up and then he had to come back to things that really mattered. He couldn't run away from his destiny. Um, I guess when you experience something like your father dying right in front of you, and then you find a way to deal with that, you kind of want to just leave that part of your life behind you. It's not something you want to come back to because it's basically you returning to that really, really tough time in your life, and you have to face it in order to move forward. And he just for so many years just stayed away from home because that would mean having to face that horrific reality once again and find a way to really deal with it. But he finally did get the courage to go back and face that reality, and he reclaimed his rightful place in the kingdom and just took his place as one of the many great kings of Pride Rock. And I just thought that movie was just so awesome. Hands down, probably one of my top five favorite movies of all time. Another movie I really love is Remember the Titans. Man, that movie is so good. Being set in the time of civil rights era to where it was just a struggle, between blacks and whites and them integrating the schools and bringing blacks and whites together and them having to learn how to live with each other, them having to learn how to accept basically what is a new world because they were divided for so long, and then when they brought the schools together in order to survive as a community, in order to keep from killing each other, they had to learn about each other, learn to live with each other, and a football team. Who knew that a football team would be the reason that community would come together? Who knew that a football team would be the reason a lot of racial ground would be broken, a lot of racial tension, and a lot of racial strife would be dissipated from a football team, and saying that man, he had to win every single game. If he lost even one game, they was gonna fire the man. He had just moved into town. I'm like, and what do you do with something like that? How do you handle such a task? Like you um, you get thrown into a real tough situation to where the community is already going at each other because of black and white racial tension, and then you gotta weigh all that in with the fact that they're taking that tension and basically um, using it as a reason to make it even harder for him to even succeed in what he's trying to do. So he had a lot on his shoulders. He had a family to raise, had to deal with racial tension, and at the same time had to manage a football team, which was right along with the community, just at odds with each other. He had to take upon all that on his shoulders. And he he told his team to get up early in the morning, and then they took a run through the woods, and he showed them the site of I can't remember what the battle was, but he showed them the site of where this intense battle took place, and just told them if we don't come together where we are now, we will be destroyed just like they were. So I think that was probably the turning point in that movie. And then Julius Campbell and Gary Bertier, um, two leading roles for the football team. Julius Campbell was the lead character from the blacks, and Gary Bertier was the leading character from the whites, and they both were on the defense. So the turning point in that movie was um, Julius Campbell. They was doing these practice plays in their practice, and they ran a play, and Julius Campbell just like stuffed like one of their offensive players. I think the dude was name was Petey. He just really stuffed them, and then Bertier goes, "You really stuck him, Campbell." And he's like, "I love me a little contact," and then he basically says, um, "Yeah, you love a little contact," and then he gave him like a little shove, and it wasn't a shove in animosity. It was him basically saying, "You know what? You can take a little contact. Let's play some football." And then Gary Bertier gave Julius Campbell a shove. He was like left side, and then just seeing Julius Campbell immediately pick up on what he was doing, trying to break that ground and that racial tension. So Gary Bertier says left side, and then Julius Campbell gives him a shove back and says strong side. And then they just exchange shoves back and forth. Left side, left side, strong side. And it was that single event right there that really changed the entire dynamic of the movie. That team came together, and then they were just like brothers. And they just everything that they brought into camp, you know, they did not take outside of camp. It was almost as if it was like black and white, no pun intended, like night and day, like seeing the change from them pre camp to how they became post camp. And then they come home, and then the town is looking at how they're fellowshipping with each other, and then they're singing like na 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 na, hey hey hey, goodbye. And then there's people in the crowd like looking like, what in the world is going on? And one of the dudes was like, they must be high on something. But yeah, they came home, and they made a lot of significant progress, obviously, and they really came together and became a family. But then they went right back home, and then the world was still the same way it was before they left, and the world was basically trying to throw them back into that divide that they were in before they went into camp. But through the the fellowship of their teammates, and through um, just perseverance, they didn't allow the tension of what was going on in the town to affect the brotherhood that they established among one another. And that started to rub off contagiously for the rest of the town. Obviously, they had their bumps, but their brotherhood started to rub off on the rest of the town, and it was contagious. And they carried that brotherhood to changing that town. They changed the entire scope of that town. That town came together, and they stayed together. And then they took that brotherhood all the way to a championship win, undefeated. So yeah, that was one of my favorite movies. We still have a little bit of time left. If you want to come in and talk about things outside of this great debate, then feel free to come in. I'm going to be ending it in about um, 25 minutes or so. But this is the whole point of me doing this is to say, let's take a break, folks. Let's just put all the drama, the controversy, the tension, let's put all that aside and just talk about life. Talk about things that we enjoy. Talk about, maybe certain things that you felt like that you feel good about. Like you achieved something amazing this week or you had a really good day. I mean, I've had a fantastic day so far. Just me going through the day and then this idea about this break hour just came to me and I was like, the break hour, that sounds like a really good idea. So yeah, this is something I'm going to be doing every single week. No, the break hour. Every single Wednesday for an hour. If we can't take 1 hour at least a week to talk to each other, then why in the world are we even here? I mean, it's rare to take any time to talk to each other. And an hour is not too much time to even ask at all. We can, go at it in the great debate. We can not agree, and then heck, we can even severely disagree. Or we might say, okay, we don't think evolution is science, or they don't think intelligent design is science. That's fine. That's that's just the way it's going to be once we are part of the great debate. But for things like this, why not just take time to just say, let's put the great debate aside. Let's just talk to each other and just enjoy one another. I mean, we all have things that we enjoy outside this great debate. We all have things that we can have common ground about. We all got favorite TV show. We all got favorite music. Um, we all got things in which, if we were outside in the real world talking to each other and we weren't even talking about this great debate, we'd really get along really well. And there's things that I really love, like music, for example. Music, I listen to pretty much everything. There's not really any one particular style of music that I listen to. Although, as of this year, because of family, I've gotten into future bass. I think future bass is a pretty cool music sound. But yeah, I like all type of music. I like country, rap, R&B, rock, pop. It doesn't really matter what it is. If it has a good sound to it, I'm gonna listen to it. Classical music, anything, man. Um, Gospel music. Obviously, me being a Christian, but I like all types of music. I wonder if anybody feels the same way I do, because I know at some point somebody, on the other side of issues contrary to my own, gotta say, man, at some point, can we just talk about things we don't like? Can we just put aside the great debate? Can we talk about other great things? Because there are other great things beside the great debate, if not even greater things. So I have the link in the chat. I'll for the next 20 minutes or so, I'll put this link out on G Plus. And if you want to talk about stuff you like, sports, music, any of those sorts of things, feel free to come in and let's just talk to each other like people. I mean, at least for an hour a week. If we can't even talk to each other for an hour a week, man, then why are we even here? That's the way I see it. At least an hour a week. There's no reason why we can't manage that much. There's no reason why we can't be like, hey, I'm not going to agree with you on this intelligent design stuff or this evolution stuff, but you got a good book you love, you got certain music artists you like, you have like particular dreams for the future. Do you do you want to accomplish something great? Like maybe you're aiming to lose weight. Maybe you want to do something that you didn't think you could do before. This is what the break hour is about. So come and just have a good time with me in the break hour, and we can, you know, just continue stuff in the great debate community afterwards. But I mean, at least for 1 hour, there's no reason why we can't talk to each other. There's no reason why we can't enjoy things other than, I mean, and I like the debate. I like healthy arguments and a healthy dialogue. But we do that so much right here online that we could also be doing other things online too that can say, look here, like, man, you see that amazing show of Arrow last night? You see, did you go to that concert last night, man? That was just amazing. So we have Jake here. What's up?
Hey, what's going on?
Oh, nothing, man. I'm just doing the first ever show called The Break Hour. I'm just trying to, do something a little different. Just
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. It relieves some of the hostility and tension. I think because there's just so much anger from both sides of the great debate that it's a good idea to kind of find some common ground.
absolutely, and at least for 1 hour a week. I mean, come on. If we can't even do this for 1 hour a week, that's like I said a couple of times in this already. It's like, why are we even here? There's no reason for us to even debate or even talk to each other at all if we can't at least take some time to find some common ground to at least fellowship on things that have nothing to do with the great debate. Because I mean, we ain't gonna. I mean, it's obvious that people are gonna stay in their stances on certain things no matter what. I mean, just we're very unlikely to change each other's minds on certain positions that we have. But if I was outside of this whole online thing and I just met any of these people, I would just talk about stuff like, my favorite sports team and my favorite music and things like this. And I think we'd have a very good conversation. So why not bring that element right here online? Because it seems like when a lot of people get online, a whole lot of things about their demeanor changes really quick.
Right. It's like people just they automatically have a preconceived notion of who they're dealing with. Like if me being a Christian, I'm talking to an atheist, I'm already thinking, well, this guy, he's already got a bad attitude towards me, and he doesn't even know me, and he's probably thinking the exact same thing. So it's good to find things in common to where you can actually be friendly with each other and talk about different things other than things that you just disagree on and aren't ever going to find an agreement.
Exactly. And it's just 1 hour. I mean, it's not like I'm asking, you know, to do an 8 hour hangout or anything like that. I'm not trying to take up too much people's time. I mean, even if you can only find like a minute or two to discuss things, like sometimes that's all you really need to, maybe potentially, it may even have an effect on the great debate in some ways. It may not have any effect on the great debate at all. But I mean, you never will even know unless you try. You'll never even know unless you put your personal biases aside and just try to engage one another as people. So it's better to try and nothing comes of it than to do nothing at all and wonder, well, what if?
Right? Yeah.
Because I mean, look at what's going on. And I really do hope to expand to more people, to get more people involved. But I only have like 2 viewers now. Like if I was talking about something like evolution or intelligent design, I have a lot more viewers. Real quick. But talking about things to where we can just talk to each other as people, and I only have 2 viewers. I mean, I think it just says something about um, certain individuals in this community that it's like, look here, man, this dude is trying to do something a little different, but it just seems like on a certain level, people are going to hold certain hostility towards one another. And even when you take a break from it, in the back of their mind, it seems like some people are thinking, I don't care what that guy has to say. At the end of the day, he's just some um, stupid ID proponent. At the end of the day, he's just some illogical Christian. It just
Yeah.
seems
There's
like that's what's going on. But I hope I'm wrong though. But I don't know.
well, it seems like there's people that just hop online just to troll and just to argue and instigate. And I
Yeah.
think that's probably why you're not getting the views on this, because you're right. If we were talking about evolution, you'd be getting a lot more people joining and watching.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just so they can basically get a rise out of people, I think.
Yeah,
But
man. I you know what? I don't like. There's certain people in my personal life that are atheists outside who I almost never have these kinds of like um sort of verbal fist fight, if you will, with people. Like I don't have this sort of type of um conflict with those who I know who are atheists offline, and they are fully well aware of where I stand and why I hold that belief, and we just disagree respectfully. And most of the time, like I'm really good friends with a dude that I talk with all the time, and he's an atheist and he knows I'm a Christian, but we are great friends. We talk about all sorts of stuff, and when I tell him about what goes here online, man, he's like, man, that's just sad. He just shakes his head, and it's just for him. He just there's just things in his life to where he hasn't found a good reason to believe it yet, and he doesn't have any animosity or anything towards Christians or anything like that. It's just that's just where he stands at the current point. But he listens to me, and I listen to him, and we just we can see each other as people, and then after we've done talking about all that stuff, most of the time we're talking about stuff like what's going to be the next exciting Arrow episode or the next exciting Flash episode, and we talk about stuff like video games and all sorts of stuff. That's what I hope to see happen here online as well.
Right. Yeah, there's actually a family that goes to my church that their sons have a friend in high school that he goes quite a bit, and he's an atheist. But he's
Uh, that's,
he's actually going to church, so that's the start. But I don't know. I haven't really talked to the guy at all, but he's a really good kid and a really good guy. So,
that's
but yeah,
cool.
I think it's different online too, though. It's easier to like if you're talking to somebody face to face, it's harder to get into a confrontation because you don't want to. It's harder to get into an argument because you don't want to like start an argument with that guy. But it's easier on the internet because you're not talking face to face. I think that's where a lot of confusion gets involved too because you can't really see the person's facial expression, or if you're just typing to each other, you can't really understand how they're saying certain things. You don't know if they're being sarcastic or if they're just joking around or something. And people take things really, really personally on the internet. And that's where this little, I guess if you want to call it an experiment, I think is a really good thing because we can get to know each other a little bit better and not start the conversation with just so much animosity towards each other already. But there has to be more than just me and you in here talking about it in order to make a difference, though, too, at the same time. So hopefully, more of them on the atheist side decide to come in here too.
Absolutely. And for those who will be listening to this afterwards, because every single live stream is recorded and posted on the YouTube. For those who are listening to this afterwards, I'm gonna be doing this for an hour a week every Wednesday. And just know that if you listen to this afterwards, um, look forward to next week because I'll be doing the same thing, and I intend to keep doing it until this starts to build up more viewers and people start to and I'm sincere about really trying to bring a different element to this great debate community, and it's got to start somewhere. Somebody has to take the first step, and people like us can be that first step into just breaking the sort of ground because we can, basically go at each other's throats all week long. But if we just, take a deep breath for at least 1 hour a week, then um, yeah, sometimes that means more than anything in the world. You never know what people could be going through in their personal lives, or why people believe certain things the way they do. And you never know that 1 hour that you spend talking to one another could mean all the difference in the world in their lives.
Yeah, I agree.
So
But to answer your question, I or your response, I didn't hear your whole Arrow spiel, but yeah, I've just been watching it on Netflix, and I'm just caught up to season 3, so
oh
I
yeah,
haven't seen any of season 4 yet.
oh yeah, you're in for quite a ride, man. I'm telling you,
But I haven't seen any of the Flash. It looked pretty good. I haven't watched any of it yet, though.
it's great. It's great, man. It's just as good. I
Yeah,
just
I've heard
love the
good
way they
things.
write everything, man. I just love the man. It's set. Both of them are set in the same universe, and the writers just did an amazing job with the show. I mean,
Yeah,
there's like been no contradictions or conflicts. Um, they just got a talented group of people behind that show, man.
What's that other one that's a spinoff of the Arrow?
It's it's a spin off of both the Arrow and the Flash. Actually, it's called Legends of Tomorrow.
Right. Yeah, that looked pretty good too.
Yeah, that's also really good. I'm not caught up on that one yet, but it's awesome from what I've seen so far.
But me and my brother-in-law, we went to see Suicide Squad last week, and that movie was real good. I enjoyed it a lot.
This is going to be a really dumb question. I haven't really been paying attention. What is Suicide Squad anyway?
Um, it's a group of the bad guys in the DC universe. It looks to be more like the Batman comics than anything. I'm not really a big comic book guy, but I like the superhero type movies. But it's a um, I think they got about 5 members. It's just like a small group of bad guys, and they call them the Suicide Squad. Well, they kind of name themselves that, but they are basically just expendable soldiers that they can just send into battle, and the public won't bat an eye if they die. They'll just say, well, they're just trying to cause problems and they got killed, but they
Yeah,
use that to their advantage. But it's a pretty good movie. I enjoyed it a lot.
yeah, I've heard a lot of people talking about it, and yeah, I just heard Suicide Squad, Suicide Squad. I'm like, what in the world people were talking about? Like, I haven't even like looked at any uh, movie trailers or anything. I didn't even know what the heck it even was before I asked you about it. Um, I meant to look into it, I just didn't. But
Yeah,
I'd heard it, mentioned on many different occasions. I'm like, why is everybody talking about this Suicide Squad thing? But from what you described about it, definitely sounds very interesting.
yeah, it's definitely a different take on the whole superhero genre, and it was a really good movie, really well written and acted. Will Smith's really good in it.
Oh, okay. Will Smith's in it. All right. He's
Yeah,
getting almost everything he's in.
yeah, he's pretty. I don't know. I don't know what the word is. He can play about any role you put him in.
Yeah, he's very dynamic and
There you go.
versatile.
Versatile. That's what I was looking for.
Yep. Um, yeah, that sounds like a really, really good movie. But yeah, I really can't wait. Once you like get all caught up with the Arrow Man, oh man, I'm telling you, man, stuff the surprises you're in for and just the treats you're in for, man, it's just gonna just keep you just just waiting just for this season, man, because um they just always manage to turn up a notch every single season. I don't know how they do it.
Yeah, I remember. Well, I don't remember a whole lot of the third one, but I do remember the last few episodes. It was like, man, I can't wait for season 4.
Oh yeah, see,
And
man, I'm telling you, dude, it's that good. But yeah, if you want to watch Flash right along with it, it'll keep you just as glued and just as interested, man. Because um, yeah, it's just the people who wrote the show, man. It's just they just did such a fantastic job with it, and I think these are like the best renditions of the telling of these characters that I've ever seen. Like you've had a number of different renditions and telling of Flash and the Green Arrow, but these renditions in what is it? What is it, the CW network? Or I think the people
I'm
behind these renditions of it just do a fantastic job. And I think they're probably the best versions of the tellings of these characters that I've ever seen. Like
yeah,
like the Arrow, like I don't think the Arrow story has been told in a better way than it has been now in its current season, and it's a current um no, I don't want to say installment, but it's current rendition, for lack of a better word. I've seen, certain comics in the past, and you know certain movies and whatnot, but how they tell the character of the Green Arrow, it's just the writing is just fantastic, and it really takes it to a much deeper level than anything I've ever seen.
Yeah, it definitely gets personal. It immerses you really good, and it just pulls you right in.
Well, I really like how they do it. It's like just telling his whole background story, and like you don't. And the thing is, that's got to be really difficult to do because they only get a few moments in certain parts of the show to talk about his background story and how it reflects to what he's currently going through and what has um, been the result of why the way he is now, because you only get like a minute or two of the backstory, and they have to basically illustrate so many things in such few moments of time, and they did that so well.
Yeah, I agree. It's hard to like really get a good history on a superhero character like the Arrow, and how they did it was really good.
I mean, what are you gonna do when you only get like a minute or two to illustrate his past? You got to do so many things right to do that right, and
Yeah.
they did a fantastic job, bar none. They definitely took their time with it, and I can appreciate that.
Well, they did a good job casting. I think that's half of it. Is you got to
Oh
cast for, and I think Stephen Ambrose is his
yeah,
name. I
Stephen
mean, he's pretty much
Amell.
a mill. There you go.
Yeah.
He's pretty much perfect for the Arrow.
Oh yeah, just they really took their time with everything. But this hour is pretty much over right now. So, but thanks for coming, man. I really appreciate you dropping by, man. I'm gonna be
Yeah, no
doing
problem.
Yeah, I'm gonna be doing more of these every single week, an hour, and I want to see more people come in here. So if y'all listen to this after the fact, it doesn't matter if you are Christian, atheist, evolutionist, creationist, intelligent design. I don't care what you believe. Come here and just let's talk about some stuff, man. Talk about your favorite music, your favorite TV shows, hobbies, all this. Come just take a break with us every single week. So thanks for watching, everyone, and take care. Peace.